we will be able to understand the necessity of preparing estimates and will apply the technique in projects and in operation. Okay, so let me share my screen first. So I believe my screen is visible to all of you. You can show thumb in response. Great, thank you. Okay. So before moving into it, we need to understand that why we need estimates. So an estimate is a detailed forecast of what resources a project or task will need to complete it. Basically, it is a quantitative forecast that includes expected costs, the labor hours, materials, and other key elements required in completing a project. So, this type of comprehensive projection provides us a base blueprint for, we can say, for financial purposes and characters. It is going to give us a clear pathway on how the project will get executed and managed throughout its life cycle. So it is through the estimates that resources are quantified in support of effective planning, budgeting, decision making throughout the project life cycle. They assist in resource allocation, on risk assessment, and stakeholders communication on a very successful way. So let us understand that what we are going to understand today, what type of techniques we are going to see today. So basically, we are going to see four types of techniques, estimation techniques. First one is the bottom-up estimation. Then we can see the second one, that is the analogous. Then we can see the third one, that is parametric. And then comes fourth one, that is the three-point estimation. If we talk about estimation, it empowers the entire project. It empowers the entire stakeholders. It doesn't matter whether it's the internal stakeholders or the external stakeholders. It helps us in so many ways. There are numerous reasons why estimates are so popular when it comes to any kind of project or operation. First one is project planning. So if we talk about estimation, then estimations eventually lead to a project plan that clearly states the scope, the timeline, budget, and required resources for the plan. So with accurate estimation, a project manager like you can have an achievable plan on your fingertips. Apart from project planning, we can say resource allocation. If we talk about resource, then there are basically two types of resource. One which focusing on people, so human resource, and what is focusing on people or equipment. That means it is known to us as physical resource. So when we talk about estimating both kind of resources, it is going to help us throughout the project tenure that how, when, what the things required for the ongoing project. It's not project design, but yes, of course, you can say because yes, Shruti has asked one question whether it's a project design or not. Whether you are designing a project, you are going through separate kinds of phases of the project, life cycle of the project. You need to understand that in which life cycle, how much work you are going to complete. So when you are going to cover those things, you need estimates, and that's the reason we do estimations. So if we are focusing on waterfall methodology, then in the planning stage, we need to perform that thing. If we are focusing on agile, then also we can plan for it, but still we need to keep this thing in a continuation manner so that based on the added change of the scope of the plan, we can go with our estimation techniques and we can understand that what is the requirement we might have in our ongoing project. Okay. So apart from project planning and resource allocation, we can say, welcome Shruti. We can say risk, we can say budgeting. Okay. So the estimate can be useful to make a budget for your project and we can understand how much a budget is important to a project. You all can understand that when, when in any kind of organization where you are working or if you are still a student, in your college days, whenever you would like to make any kind of training for your employees, you need to straightforward get back to your senior and need to ask, sir, whether we can do that thing or not. So maximum time we can see one sentence from our seniors, that is, actually we are running out of our budget. So budgeting plays a crucial role. Therefore, a budget is a fundamental to secure funding on various projects and see if the project is financially viable or not. So here, estimation plays a crucial role in budgeting. It is going to give you that insight that how much amount of resources, how much amount of finance, how much amount of raw materials you are in need. Budgeting for everything. Risk management. It doesn't matter whether you are focusing on which kind of project, but as a shadow of yours, risk would be remaining throughout the entire course of the project. So if you go with some uncertainties, you can, through the estimates, you can understand what uncertainties that could be, or might be you get an option to mitigate those. Also, by doing the estimation techniques, you can convert that negative risk towards your positive risk to some extent. Also, you can use or plan for your contingency plan so that you can get yourself, your entire project team members, and your project from the impact of the risk. Okay. Apart from that, stakeholders management, we know who are the stakeholders, right? So every person who is associated with the project is known to us as stakeholders. So every stakeholders, every individual, their question, their understanding, their belief, their expectations are different from each other. So if you prepare, if you all come up with a great estimation, you can place that thing in front of the people and they can understand what is all about the project, how much budget you are in need, how much manpower you are in need, what would be the quality we would be expecting, and everything. Right? So entire document would be in front of them. Decision making. One of the main job of a project manager is taking decisions throughout the project. So estimations are the base to make a decision on whether to start a project or stop the work of the project, or which start or which task you're going to start first, or which task you are going to start at last, or how much resource you are going to use on that, and countless things is dependable upon estimation when it comes to decision making. Okay, so these are the things we can understand the power of estimations, right? If we talk about estimate, then what are the things we can estimate? We can estimate the schedule, we can estimate the cost, we can estimate the resource, we can estimate the effort, we can estimate the benefit. So there are a lot of things what we can estimate. Okay. One of the popular estimation technique what we have is known to us as bottom up estimating. So from the name itself, we can understand what the bottom up estimation is all about. Normally, it is starting from the bottom level and it is going upwards. So a bottom up estimation, it is a very powerful estimation technique which works by decomposing a project into smaller and most detailed work packages possible. So project managers estimates cost, they estimates time, they estimates resource requirement of every single work package and sum up the estimates to derive overall project estimates. So this approach is normally considered the most reliable for both cost and the schedule estimation because it is coming in very detailed manner. Okay, and you can focus it while making that thing in more decomposing way. If we talk about decompose or decomposing in project is one of the major tasks. What do we have? When we see that a new project is going to get start, if we understands the scope of the project, what the project is all about, why the project has been initiated, right? If the person who is liable for that, if the person is telling, okay, this is the reason why the project has been initiated. If we take an example, uh, one of the black days in humankind, that is COVID-19. So in time of COVID-19, when they have come up with they were trying to think the solution, right? They were trying to prepare the vaccine. So for them, preparing the vaccine was a huge project, and previously, which has not been carried out. They have already prepared some vaccines for other diseases, but this time this is a bit different. It's a bit more lethal comparing to the previous one. And the timeline, if you focus on the timeline, then the timeline were very limited on their hand. So what they did, say broke they have broke the entire project in some smaller segments. Okay, they have prepared the classifications. They have prepared the hierarchy one by one, and one by one. By doing this thing, they have decomposed the entire project. And as they have decomposed the entire project, now they can see the project from different perspectives. Bottom up estimation does the same thing like work breakdown structure. It also decomposes every possible work in smaller chunks, in smaller segments. And they try to get the entire thing out of it. Okay. And lastly, they sums those up and they gets the estimates. And that's the reason it is one of the most powerful estimation techniques. What do we have? Okay. If we talk about advantages of this bottom up estimation, okay, then it's a huge. Okay. It's a huge when we talk about the bottom up estimations advantages. It is providing us more accurate estimates, right? So bottom up estimates provides more accurate estimates since it's based on detailed breakdown of the project into smaller tasks. So better understanding of the scope of the project, because we are breaking down the project into smaller tasks to help understand the project scope and the requirement in a better manner. Okay. So if we talk about that, when we should use this bottom up estimation, that's a big question to ask. When do we have a complex project in our hand? So bottom up estimation is suitable for complex projects that require a detailed breakdown of tasks and estimates. When do we have projects which has so many dependencies? So bottom up estimation is very much useful for the projects with many dependencies between tasks, as it helps to identify and estimate the effort and cost which is required for each task. Okay. And lastly, we can say project which are having high uncertainty. So bottom up estimation is very much suitable for the projects which has high certainty, as it provides a more detailed and accurate estimate of the effort and cost which is required. So let's see, I'm getting a message. Okay. Yes, Shruti, actually, I'm not understanding what you are trying to say. First, project planning. I'm not getting what you want to say. You can speak if you want, or you can provide some more detail so that I can reply you on that. Shruti, I'm teaching estimate, and you can prepare estimate in waterfall method, in agile method, in hybrid method. Whatever method you are opting for while developing your project, you have to opt for estimates, because without estimates, you cannot proceed. So I'm making all of you understand about estimates. You can use it in predictive or waterfall. You can use it in adaptive or agile, or you can use it in hybrid. Is that okay? Great. Thanks. So now there is another kind of estimation techniques what to have with us. It is known to us as analogous estimating technique. Okay. So analogous estimating technique, it is again a methodology that we use when we do not have much understanding information about the project. Suppose you have received one project, and after receiving the project, you have seen that you are having very lesser amount of information regarding the scope of the project and work details of the project. So if you do not have any kind of information about the project, it's not possible for one person to create one estimate. But still, whatever information you do have with you, you can use those information and you can come up with analogous estimation. So this type of estimation you can prepare when you have limited amount of information in your hand and you are just starting your project work. Okay, so that is what known to us as analogous estimation. Now we need to understand that how you can perform this analogous estimation. So first of all, in order to perform this process, we need to identify a similar project. Let me give an example. Suppose you are focusing to construct a school building. Okay. So now what is happening? You have only certain information with you that the school building is composing of 10,000 square feet and the area is this. This amount of information you have received. Based on that thing, you need to start preparing estimate. How? First of all, you need to search for information. You need to gather data from similar projects. So you can do it by two ways. One, you can connect with the organization for whom you are doing that project. So there is one information, one document they have with them that is known to us as lessons learned. Lessons learned are the historical data or the information of the previously happened data, past project data. Okay. So you can get to those information, those data, and based on those data, you can come up with the estimation. Okay. If it is not available in your organization, then you can get it from third party. So what you need to do, you just need to collect the data, collect the information. You need to take the information which is required to prepare the estimate, and you can start preparing the estimate. Now, the previous information and the previous data and the current information and current data would vary. You need to adjust because that was a different project, and the project what you are doing right now or would be doing right now would be a different project. You can take reference here and you can apply the same type of estimates over there by adjusting the estimates as a basis for the new project's budget, schedule, and resource allocation. Again, I'm giving an example. Suppose you have got a reference that the previous project has taken 6 months of time to build the entire school building. So now here you are estimating the timeline. Okay. Again, you are focusing on the budget. So you have calculated all the budget, you have gone through the information, and you have received the information that the previous building they have prepared, the budget of the building was 50 lakhs rupees. And the resource what they have allocated was this, and this. So you can take reference and you can at least try to understand and make your team understand that we are also doing the same type of project. The previous project was also considering 10,000 square feet of building. Here also we are doing 10,000 square feet of building. There were also a number of n number of rooms they have prepared. We are also preparing n number of rooms and the playground. So roughly we can say that we can have this kind of uh, budget or this kind of schedule or this kind of resource allocated to our project work. But as we have bottom up estimation, why we are doing this analogous estimating? Because it is very much quick and you can prepare it in very faster manner. And when you are preparing this thing when you are about to start the project and you have very limited amount of information with you. So analogous estimation is a fast and it is very simple technique that can be used when there is a limited time of data or time or data available to you. If we talk about the costing, so analogous estimating does not require a lot of resources or effort, and which is again making it a cost effective technique. And it is based on the actual data. You are referring to the previous data which has been completed. The project has been completed. So you are referring to the actual data. So analogous estimating is based on actual data from the similar past, which is making more reliable technique than some other estimation methods. But keep one thing in your mind, you are doing this thing before you start the project work and when you have very limited amount of information. That is what when to use this estimation technique. So early project planning. So analogous estimation can be used, as I have mentioned, during early stages of the project planning when there is limited information available. We can go with this analogous estimation when we do have small projects or mid-sized project where the scope of the project is not that much of complex and it can, well understood, right? And again, we can perform the analogous estimation when we have the similar kind of project that has already been completed in the past and which we can use as a reference. So that is all about the analogous estimation technique. Then comes the third estimation technique that is known to us as parametric estimation technique. Now, this is also an estimation technique which is going to give us information about the estimation of the cost, the schedule, budget. Okay. If we talk about parametric information or parametric estimation rather, so parametric estimation is again going to help us to get the duration of an activity of a project, which is delivering the projections upon certain empirical data and statistical relationships. We are going to perform the same thing what we did in analogous estimation, but in parametric, we are making slight change. We are going to use some mathematical models over here, which is going to interrelate or which is going to consider the associated factors like amount of quantity of material of labor, size of or size or extent of the project, complexity of the project. Previously, I have mentioned when we are doing analog estimation, when the project is not complex. But in parametric estimation, we are doing the same type of estimation, but we are using this parametric when it is a bit complex. We can use certain technology, we can use location, we can use time, we can use so many things to determine the cost or duration of the project. Now just focus on the word parametric estimation. Parametric estimation. Parametric means where we do have parameters. Okay, we can set parameters 10,000 square feet, 10 days, 5 kilos, 10 tons. So when do we have parameters? Based on that parameter, we need to prepare estimate. So that thing is known to us as parametric estimation. Okay. So the primary purpose of this parametric estimation is to provide a quick estimate for the project cost or duration with a basis for historical data and develop statistical model. So this technique is commonly applied during the early project stages when little information is available or when a rough order of magnitude estimate is required. But how to perform this parametric estimation? We need to define the parameters first. So you have to identify the key parameters that is going to affect the cost, that is going to affect the duration of the project, like quantity of the material, labor hours, or the equipment what you require to complete the project. So you need to define the parameters as I have mentioned. Then you need to collect historical data like we have collected in analogous. So you have to gather all the data from the similar past projects, which includes actual cost or duration of the project and the values or the parameters, which we have identified in the step one. Then we need to develop a mathematical model. So we can use statistical techniques, like we can go with regression analysis to develop a mathematical model that relates the parameters to the cost or duration of the project. The previously preparing these kind of estimates were a bit tough because we need to use pen and paper. But right now we can have the power of uh, PMIS. Okay, so using the PMIS, we can prepare this estimates in very easy manner. Still, you need, as a project manager, you need the help of SMEs who are used to doing this kind of thing, this kind of job. Okay, then comes validate the model. So you need to test the model while using a separate data set to ensure that it is accurate and reliable. Lastly, you need to apply the model. Means you need to validate the model to estimate the cost, to estimate the duration of the new project by inputting the values of the parameters. So this is how we can perform the parametric estimation. But why to perform this parametric estimation, as we have so many types of estimation left with us? First of all, that is the speed. Secondly, the accuracy, and third, the consistency. Okay. Parametric estimation uses historical databases for projects which are similar in nature. So the data should be completed in a trustworthy or or we can say, you know, in uniform way that is going to cover a large number of parameters about the project and their outcome. So when we are doing that thing, we are just referring to amount of information and data. So we can just focus on that thing. We can get the data. We can use the mathematical models. We can use the statistics, and we can get that in a faster manner. Previously, in analogous estimations, what we did, we have just taken the reference, nothing else, right? And we have directly given an input. But in parametric, we are doing what? We are doing the estimation based on parameter, right? And when we are setting the parameters, definitely we are taking the historical information. Still, we are using mathematical calculations and some other statistical things. So when we are preparing those things using these things, these approaches, so normally the accuracy becomes higher when we compare that thing with the analogous estimation technique. Lastly, come consistency. So when we talk about the parametric estimation, while we are performing the project work, we need to carry on the thing to understand, to compare our estimates with the current scenario, right? So that we can have that consistency of understanding our future endeavors. So we are definitely getting information from the parameters related things. So it can foster our understanding and it can foster the working environment as we already understands the risk factor. So we can mitigate the risk, we can transfer the risk, we can accept the risk, right? We can do so many things when it comes to risks. So that's the reason why we do use parametric uh, estimation technique. Okay, estimation. So when we can perform this thing, when we have historical data with us, so we know that in parametric estimation technique, we must have historical information with us. Unless and until we have any kind of referral projects information, we cannot prepare that thing. So when we have historical data available with us, we can definitely perform this task. Project similarity. So this project is similar to the past project in terms of completion, complexity, and underlying parameters among other factors. So this implies that the relationship which has been obtained between the characteristics of the project and the project result from historical information can be, extrapolated to the new project. So this makes the development of highly accurate parametric tool easy to develop and enhance the reliability of the estimate which has been obtained. Then come quick estimates required. So I have already mentioned that parametric estimation takes place where the most initial estimate is needed before commencement of detailed planning and resources. So when you have very limited amount of information left with you, you can prepare it. And when you have historical data information, you can just refer it, you can use some mathematical calculations, you can use some statistics, and you can prepare the feasibility, you can prepare the resource allocation, you can prepare the budgeting. So it's very quick. Cost or time is directly related. So when the cost of the project or time is definitely depending on certain amount of parameters, we can prepare this parametric estimation, right? So there exists a clear quantifiable relationship between the key parameters of a project and its final cost or duration. So this can be used to build predictive models that can go to estimate the project's outcome in terms of input relevant parameters. For example, the total cost in construction project is usually strongly correlate with the square footage of the building. Similarly, if we talk about the IT industry, so in software development, the number of lines of code can be a good indicator of a project effort. So in these cases where the relationship are well established, the historical data is available to back up such kind of relationship when you are doing parametric estimation, and it can produce accurate and reliable information to you. Okay. Now, if we talk about where we can use parametric estimation, then it could be like construction projects where we can estimate the cost of building construction, civil engineering projects, or infrastructure development. Apart from that, we can say that software development. So when we are trying to estimate the time and cost which is required to develop software application or system, we can definitely go with parametric estimation technique. Okay. Then comes the the fourth kind of estimation technique that is known to us as 3-point estimation technique. So the 3-point estimation technique in project management is used to estimate again the duration, the effort which is required for the project activities or tasks. So it is more, we can say, refined approach than the traditional single point estimations, what we have just seen while understanding the estimation techniques. Okay. So it takes into, you know, it 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 takes all the information, necessary information into it. It inherits all the things, and it focuses on the risk associated with the project work. So 3-point estimation is going to help us in project management where there is uncertainties and where there is underlying risk by providing a range of estimate rather than providing us a single point of reference, like we have seen in parametric, in analogous, in bottom up. Okay. But how to perform this 3-point estimation is a thing. In 3-point estimating, the three estimates are managed for activity, like the optimistic estimate, which is getting denoted by capital O. Then comes the most likely estimate, denoted by capital M, and the pessimistic estimate, denoted by capital P, what you can see on the screen. So these estimates are based on different scenarios or assumptions about the activity duration or effort. Now, the optimistic estimate O represents the best case scenario, assuming everything goes exceptionally well and there are no unforeseen obstacles or delay. The most likely estimates M, it represents the activity duration or effort which is based on a realistic condition, taking into account more typical challenges and circumstances. The pessimistic estimate P represents the worst case scenario, assuming significant challenges, delays, or unexpected issues. So, in order to calculate this 3-point estimation, we can use one formula, that is O plus 4M plus P divided by 6. Okay, it is O plus 4M plus P divided by 6. Now, why divided by 6? It is divided by 6 because we are taking O as one value, 4M, so 4 plus 1, 5, and we're taking one P value, so 6. That's the reason we are doing the average and we are putting that 6. So optimistic, pessimistic, and O. Okay, most likely estimating. Again, I'm giving one example. If someone is telling you that how much time it would take for you to move from point A to point B, from your home to office, office to home, how much time it does takes. In general, we used to tell 1 hour, roughly 60 minutes. But when it comes to project, we need to be specific. We cannot every time tell from our insight, right? So we can use this formula and we can take 3 points of estimation. One is for O, one is for the M, and one is for P. Okay, that means one where it is a best case scenario, and we are assuming that everything is going exceptionally well. There is no unforeseen condition or delays what we can face. Like the traffic is so much clear, then we can start from our home and we can get to the office. From office, again, we can get back to the home within 60 minutes. So 30 minutes plus 30 minutes, 60 minutes. Then again, we need to prepare one more type of estimate, that is the most likely. So here we need to do what? We need to again calculate the effort. So what effort we need to calculate? So that's the most realistic. So while doing the journey, we might have some jam. So in jam, it is going to take 50 minutes plus 50 minutes. Okay. And we need to again prepare with the P, which is representing the worst case scenario, right? You are assuming significant challenges, delays, or unexpected issues. So it is taking that you are getting like 70 minutes to get to the office and 70 minutes to get back from home. So now how you can tell? So you can tell, okay, you can come up with this estimation technique. So first 30 plus 30 means 60 plus 4 into M. So it was 50 plus 50, 100 minutes plus P, that is 60, 60, 120 minutes. Okay. So you can divide it by 6 and you can get the result, and you can mention that this is the time what is going to take to go to my office and getting back to home from my office. So this is the main thing. So if we need to perform this, particular thing, how we can go with that thing? First of all, again, we need to define the work package. We need to clearly mention the work package. Then we need to assemble the estimation team. We need to conduct the estimation, what I have just mentioned. Okay, you need to establish the estimation criteria, and you can apply the three estimation technique and you can calculate that thing. If you want, you can give a review and refinement. Okay. Now, why to perform this estimation technique? We have seen good estimation techniques, like we have seen analogous, we have seen parametric, we have seen bottom-up estimation. Still, why we do this? We do need this 3-point estimation technique. If account for uncertainty, that means 3-point estimating considers the fact that some level of uncertainty may always be attached to any project estimate, which gives you the possibilities of ranging from one particular outcome where it is providing a realistic estimate. 3-point estimating provides a range of estimates instead of a single point estimate, what we have seen so far. So this information is very useful for the stakeholders to understand the risk and uncertainty which is existing in your project. By processing of making 3-point estimates, critical thinking may get enhanced, and risk and uncertainties may involved in the project are taken into our consideration. So it's a positive thing for us if we going for this 3-point estimation. Also, 3-point estimation increases the accuracy because it is forcing you, the estimator, to address the pessimistic, the optimistic, and more likely scenarios in order to come up with more realistic estimate. It is facilitating the risk management. We can understand, we can identify the potential risk, we can identify the potential opportunities, and we can inform the risk management team to help with the strategies and contingency planning. This 3-point estimating again yield more insightful views on the cost and schedules of projects, which facilitates decision making and resource estimation. And lastly, we can say 3 point estimation gives the project stakeholder an idea about the uncertainty and risk that involve in a project. So that when we are expecting something, we can consider the risk factor too. So these are the things why you should prepare the 3 point estimation technique. But the thing is, when you can prepare that thing, we have seen when we have total information about the project, we can go with the bottom up estimation. When we do have limited amount of information and data with us, we can go with analogous estimation. And when we have some parameters and we have some limited amount of information, we can go with the parametric estimation. But how, when we should, not how, when we should come up with the 3 point estimation technique? First thing, okay, 3 point estimation we can perform when, that is early in project life cycle. So 3 point estimating is, especially useful in the early project stages when the least information about the project is available. It is very useful when it, when we have high uncertainty, high degree of uncertainty basically. Okay, so we can prepare this model and we can get a range of this thing. And when again we can use that thing when we are having a complex project. Complex project, what are the complex projects? When there are so many interdependencies we do have, when we have unexpected obstacles because multiple stakeholders are there and their different perspectives and needs may impact the project outcome. The reason 3 point estimating is very powerful when we are going to apply to complex projects, right? Where we are going to handle multiple various variables basically of uncertainties. And when stakeholders requires a range of estimate, right? So 3 point estimates can provide a range of estimates which can be useful for the stakeholders who need to understand the potential risk and the project uncertainties which are associated with the project. So that's the reason we can come up with the estimations and we can use the estimation techniques. Now, I have mentioned all the information about how to prepare 4 kinds of estimation, when to prepare 4 kinds of estimation, and how you can take reference and what the accuracy of these estimation techniques you do have, while based on which you can take decision. So for these contents, if anyone is having any kind of query, you can ask me, you can speak up, or you can send it through the chat. All right. So as I'm not getting any kind of question from your end, so I am ending this demo class over here. So thank you all for joining this demo class. Have a great time ahead and thank you so much.